Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Welcome everybody to Chassidus in the morning. Kuntres HaTefila. We're nearly three weeks already doing this. Okay, I hope that today we will finish probably Tes Zayin and maybe Yud Zayin, and then Yud Ches, and then we finish all the way to the end, and then we can start the beginning. Okay, continuing on what we're talking about, different type of ideas of davening and different ways of setting ourselves up for davening. And yesterday we talked about Kabbalah Soul, that we have to make ourselves a certain standard that we hold to, that we train ourselves that, like, this is a baseline, just like we have standards in the way we take care of ourselves, or the way we dress, the way we act. We have certain standards. So too with our Judaism, we should have this, and we do it already. We have it with eating kosher food. So there's different standards, and that's what he's saying, talking about having this standard, because that's also part of it, the whole davening process, and it's part of the relationship that we're building with God. Okay, so in Tes Zayin, in chapter 16, we talk about what happens to a person, similar to 2 days ago, about davening for a person that's a businessman, meaning they don't have time. So he basically talks about outside. He talks about that they should make sure to, they should really care about the davening. So therefore, they will make sure to learn a little bit before davening. And I just slipped my mind now. And do the proper davening. I don't know. I forgot it now. Okay, let's see. Chapter 16, page 146 at the top. Prayer for the working person. And again, this is something that's very relevant for most of us. Here the Rebbe exhorts business people to study before davening. For the benefit of many Anash, I will summarize the substance of what the saintly Mitzvah Rebbe, his soul rest in Eden, may his merit protect us, wrote concerning business people who cannot possibly prolong their weekday prayers or engage in protracted preparations for prayer in the manner explained above. For them, there's another method. So this is, you could sort of say, this is for us. What happens if we can't daven, we don't have time? I'm going to shul, going out, it's quick, it's not, you don't have time to sit there and do all these things. So what do we have to do? The meditation and study for the working class. Every morning upon arising, a businessman should take it to heart that he is expending all his intellectual and emotional energy on worldly frivolities. So basically I'm talking about how we have to realize how important davening is, and this is sort of the key to our success in the day, and base it off of that. Most of the day could be, and this could be very much for us, most of the day we're emotional energies and worldly frivolities in the world, having to do business or how to go to work. And if you're not working in like teaching or Kedusha Dika type of work, so you have to deal with a lot of things in the outside world, mundane type of things, or speaking to people that maybe you want to discuss different things. So much so that his soul and the life force are almost entirely bound up with the vanities of work, which surround him from all sides. As it is written, they surround me, they encompass me, like it says in Tehillim, that, they're totally savuni gam savuni, that they're totally encompassed. So you're sitting there, so what happens in a situation that you say, I want to daven, but I go to Manhattan every morning or wherever you go, and I'm working, and people talking about the politics and elections and all these other different things I'm not going to talk about, that everyone's talking about their own, whatever it is, but it's like distracting, and just your whole encompass in this day. So what do you do? Then upon reflecting upon this, the person's heart will be broken, and he will neither enjoy nor take pleasure in speaking about business in an animated and demonstrative fashion before prayer. Therefore, when a person realizes that his whole day is consumed by other things that aren't necessarily important, especially when we're talking about, we've been discussing and we've set in ourselves in our minds, we want to be connected to God and have focus on that relationship, and then suddenly sees everyone's talking about politics the whole day, what's it got to do with your relationship with God? And so like a person realizes that this is all I have to talk about. This meaning it's not like I can just sit there and do whatever I want, but I have to talk about it. Or the business you're talking about is banking, or whatever it is, and it's just things that aren't conditioned in any way. And if everyone has to their level, so therefore we'll appreciate the importance of the davening time. And that's what he's saying. And a person will be broken by the reality of realizing the situation is not the way it wants. So therefore they'll take upon themselves to daven. I have a friend actually, and he was telling me, like, one of the things, he's like, he needs to leave his job. He can't handle it. Like it's totally, I guess, against everything that he stands for, so to speak. So let's say someone like that, but it's all on all levels. We'll appreciate if we appreciate the importance of davening, we'll appreciate the importance of not talking about work-related things before davening. He should strengthen himself to study at least a little bit before prayer. He should then pray with composure, meditating on the actual words of the prayer. So therefore, like we said before, you should be composed and daven. So you should learn a little bit. Daven, like we talked about before, very meditated, very, very controlled. At the words are coming out, you're just rushing through it, thinking about what you're saying. You can even meditate on one of the words. And what does this mean? Spend 2 minutes. He'll explain. If he fails to fortify himself at this time, then he will immediately be inundated by business words. But if you don't do this, you don't prepare yourself properly, you don't daven the way you should. So then when you go out, your mind starts running. It's running about all the business and all the work-related stuff and all the rest of the daily stuff. No amount of meditation will then help him. As the verse says, they reel and stagger like a drunkard. All their skill is to no avail. Meaning all the skills that you have, all the abilities you have to daven and meditate, but once you finish davening, you can't start meditating. It's gone. Your mind's running. It's like having your phone. I've started from the shiur. One of the things it's like helped made me realize, like, I'm trying to implement is that I don't turn on my phone. Like my phone would be on, but I don't like check it for anything until not just after the shiur, until after I'm coming back from taking my kids to school. It's like 9. And I'm up from like about 6. So it's like 3 hours, and I realize how much better it is the morning without having to be inundated with checking your phone and and updating yourself and what's going on. And that's what he's saying. You realize that, and even though you might, if you don't do it while you're davening, it's much harder. It's not going to really work. They reel and start like a drunkard. All their skills no avail. I mean, you have the skills technically, but it's not going to help at that point. This refers to business burdens, termed intoxicated, but not from wine. So a person's like intoxicated and he's totally like out of control, but it's not because of the wine, it's because of the worries of his business that confuse the mind and heart. And it could be not just like if you're a business owner, but your job. If your job is like stress you out and stuff, and you think about it constantly, it's constantly on your mind. So the same thing. Standing strong, but when he remembers to meditate on all this before prayer, he will be greatly aroused with compassion for his soul. So when he thinks about this whole situation and that how he's so inundated the rest of the day with all these concerns and all these thoughts and all these worries about work, so therefore you'll feel compassion for yourself and for your neshama, for your nefesh l'kis, and you say, hey, let me take care of nefesh l'kis, at least for the time that I have right now, with unreserved forcefulness. He will see to it that he exemplifies the verse, let the weak say, I am strong. And like it says, the weak will say, I'm strong. You say, I'm doing this. And this is important. And you realize it's the urge you have to want to be connected. So you're going to put in the effort, whatever it takes, and stand his ground during this hour for his soul's welfare. And I'm going to make sure not to talk about anything that's not going to do with Torah mitzvahs connecting to God. Not now. It's like, not now. I'm busy. But you need this. By prolonging his prayers, even for just another minute, it is as if he acquired life for his soul for the entire day. So he's saying it's so powerful that if you take 1 minute more and you put in 1 minute worth of effort, that will help your entire day. It's a, like they say in business, like in the stock market, if you get 6% interest back, that's great. Here he's saying you only spend 1 extra minute, and then the rest of the hours, the rest of the 12, whatever many hours you're up, will be affected. That's the best return on your investment you can ever get. As it is as if you acquired life for yourself for the entire day. Why does it work so well? Because for then, though he goes off to work, he will be irradiated by a residue of the illumination produced by the modest bond with godliness that he has achieved. As it says, though I walk, this is Gamki Elech Begay Talmavas, even when I walk in the shadow of death, I will not fear, because you're with me. So you can go into the crazy situations, and you can go to work, which is totally against everything, but you're not worried, and it doesn't bother you. Why? Because you feel God with you. And that 1 minute that you davened transforms you. So then, and it's a crazy one. 1 minute, actually, you put in the effort that comes with you. The residue stays with you. And that connection that you built will hold you throughout the day. That even when you go into the worst situations, there's a story of I once heard this shliach, a chassid, is a real deal. It was years ago. I was in yeshiva, and we went to Shabbos, and he said a story that he was speaking to a gvir, and he was there, and a few guys came in, and it happened to be that he was there, the shliach, and there was one of the business partners or whoever it was, he was from Jew. And so they were hanging out, and the shliach was still there. And he's like, just 1 minute, I'm just going to talk 1 second, and we'll continue talking. And so they were talking, and they said a joke that wasn't necessarily so appropriate. The businessman that was there, he sort of played along because he had to. With the shliach, totally he walked off to the side, and he started misbeinin or whatever. And he said and in the end he was he explained to the guy this is pasnished for me. I'm not I don't have to listen to this. I'm not here to get myself involved in all these issues. I'm here to help the people, the Jewish people. And he said that he's and I saw him daven. He davened like the Sefer talks about, and he was saying that he davened, and that made the difference, and that gave him the ability to do it. And that's what he's saying, that even when you go into a situation that could be stuck, it's be uncomfortable, God is with me. Such beautiful. And it only takes, it's beautifully saying, it only takes a minute. And think about it. In the Rebbe Rashab times a minute versus now times a minute, it's, it's 10 seconds extra. Whatever extra time you put in to think about that connection with God will help you throughout the day. Even while he's engaged in his business concerns, this residue protects him, ensuring that he doesn't become estranged from godliness. It elevates him, drawing him close to godliness whenever he's unoccupied with his work. And that effect goes out throughout the whole day. That you don't suddenly go to work, it's only with God, he's not even on your mind, you don't even think about him, but you're more connected. And it elevates him to drawing him closer to godliness wherever he's unoccupied with his work. And then when you have a free moment, this also ensures that when an opportunity arises to perform a mitzvah, for example, tzedakah or the like, he does so, intending to bring gratification to Creator. So when he's in work, he's still connected. So when he has a free moment, he thinks about Torah. We might think about something that we learned, the shiur in the morning, or think about a friend, I should get in touch with. One of the things I try to do when I go to work, when I walk, try to text friends that I haven't spoken to in a while or something, see how they're doing. Things like that. You try to, your mind is in that mode, that you're constantly still connected to God, even though you're at work. So then we have an opportunity to do tzedakah, for example, especially when my businessmen have money, you get a chance to do tzedakah. You happily run to do it because you're connected. But in the above man of self-subordination to God, everyone is equal for the good. But like we said, yes, in yesterday's chapter with the Kabbalah stone, that you're not doing it to self-gratify, but it's doing it for God. That you're part of that you're connected to God, and part of the connection is to do it that way. Tomorrow we'll finish off the last two. They're pretty short and straightforward. Kitzur explains. So what did we explain? We explained the kind of meditation relevant for the business people who are continuously preoccupied. It exhorts them to make an invalid rule to study before prayer, the residue of which will then affect their behavior the entire day, infusing vitality into the performance of mitzvahs. So he's saying that they should put in that this is a very practical thing. Spend maybe 5 minutes, or maybe you're doing it now by learning. It's beautiful. Spend some time every morning learning a little bit before, make it like a set rule for yourself, because you want to have a better day. You want to have a totally better day, a connected day. And you do that. And then when you daven, spend even 1 minute of meditating, thinking about God, thinking about your relationship with God and how you want God in your day, or whatever you want to think about in connection with God. And the residue of that will help to have a better day. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it, and the more efficient you get at it, and the more of the effect it'll have throughout the day. Perfect. That was amazing. And tomorrow we're going to talk about learning Shulchan Aruch. And then the last chapter, he says, the Ma'aser Ikar, we have to do this. It's nice that we learned and we read it, but we actually got to do it. So yeah, have a great day, and thanks for joining.